you again, everyone, for joining us today. We have with us Fred Kraus, Ying Kin, and Octavian Vlad, and they are going to be talking to you about the new features in Archibus V25.4. Just a few housekeeping items. Everyone is on mute, so if you have a question, please feel free to enter it into the question section, and we will get to those questions at the end of the presentation. We are also recording this, and we will send out the recording either later today or tomorrow. So with that, I will turn it over to Fred.
Thanks, Danielle. Hi, everyone. Again, this is Fred Kraus, and I'm joined today with my colleagues Ying and Octavian. And we're really excited to present to you what we've done, what the whole team has done to produce and release Archibus version 25.4. We are going to go through the major improvements that we made in this release. So that kind of boils down into 4 categories. We continue to work on back-to-work enhancements, knowing that that's really front and center in many of our minds. How do we safely get employees back to work as we hope in this year the pandemic subsides? And we introduced a lot of great new improvements over the last 2 point releases that we've improved upon for this release. So we'll talk a little bit about user-defined fields again and how we extended that to assets. We'll talk about maintenance checklists again and how we extended that to work on the maintenance console. And we continue to work on better UI and UX, and this time focusing on the Move console. So we're excited to show you that. And at the end, we'll talk a little bit about what's next. Really excited to bring this to you today, and just to note that 25.4 is out. It was released at the end of last week, so it is ready to roll. And with that, we'll start with back to work enhancements, and I'll hand it over to Octavian.
Hi everyone, nice to see you again here, and I'm really glad that we are able to release 25.4 because it has a lot of new and improved features for back to work. For example, the hoteling check-ins. So as a facility manager, I want to be able to set up a policy where employees check in into workspaces they book, so that I know who was actually in the building as opposed to who booked the space, and so that unused spaces can also free up. So this will allow me to run a more efficient hoteling policy. I can set check-in times related to the booking start times. Then if the employee hasn't checked in the set time, the application will auto-cancel the booking, and the employee is notified. So I think this will help us have a better and more efficient process to book spaces. Next on
Before I move on, I just wanted to point out that a lot of these enhancements, as you see in the upper right, come from user voice. So we note the ones that did, and I'll talk a little bit more about user voice at the end, but just wanted to indicate that many of these come from you or the business partners you work with, and it's still great to see that feedback so that we know what to prioritize. Sorry, go ahead, Octavian.
So the next feature for back to work is also a user voice idea that some of you have suggested, and it allows you to enforce the capacity targets that you set. For example, as a facility manager, I want to limit bookings on a floor to the reduced capacity targets that I set, so that I can keep employees safe while they return to work. I can set occupancy targets in the space console. But for example, if your local government or authorities set an occupancy target, you can do that in the space console, and based on that, the building and the floor capacity targets are calculated. By default, this functionality is not enabled, but you can enable it by using the application parameter enforce floor capacity target under the hoteling application. Once you do that, the floor capacity target will be enforced, and as employee book spaces or you assign permanent seats to employees, once the capacity target is hit, they can no longer book workspaces on that floor. So even if there are still hotelable rooms, they won't be available for booking anymore. So again, this is a user voice idea. Thank you very much for it. I think it's also help us manage the workspace resources that we have, the limited resources. And next I can show you a video, a demonstration. Before we start, you can stop a bit a second. Yeah. So before we start, I want to explain a few steps that I'm going to do during the video. So first, I'm going to set the occupancy target for a building, and the floor capacity target for each floor is then calculated. I will show you that I have many hotelable rooms, but once I hit the floor capacity target, I can no longer book a room on that floor. So we can start the demonstration now. So I'm using building NCO5, floor number 5. I go to the space console, and I set the occupancy target for that entire building. I think the video stopped.
It's still playing on my end, Octavian, and hopefully.
Oh, okay, it's not playing on my.
Oh, I can narrate if we're having some technical issues. Danielle, can you see it?
I can.
Okay, so I'm hoping that maybe.
I can see now. You can stop it a second. Okay. I can narrate it. Okay, if you.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so I set the occupancy target to 10%. This is mainly for our exercise, so I can quickly show you how I can enforce the capacity target. So for floor number 5 in building NCO5, the overall capacity is around 300, but once I set the occupancy target to 10%, the capacity target that you see in the left top corner will shrink to 29. And I do have already 27 occupants, permanent occupants on that floor. So that means that I can only book 2 workspaces. Although on the floor plan, you can see there are many workspaces that are hotelable and are available for booking. I won't be able to book all those spaces. I can only book 2 of them. So we can start the video now.
Oops. We'll go to where you were, I think.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So remember, we'll be able to book only 2 spaces, and the third time we should not be able to book anymore. As you can see, I have many hotelable spaces. Next, I'm going to the workplace application. And I'm going to book, try to book 3 times. As you can see, I can see floor number 5 on the left bar. So I'm going to book one of the spaces there. So I'm going to do this again. And the third time, I won't be able to see the floor plan anymore. So the second time I can see it also.
So after this booking, we've reached our capacity target, 29 seats that are open.
Yeah, so this time, the third time we actually reached the floor capacity target. And when I try to book again, you notice I don't see the floor number 5 anymore because we don't have any seats available anymore on that floor.
Right.
It is also a user voice idea, as I mentioned before. I think all of them are user voice ideas, even if they are not marked, because some, or actually ideas from customers, because some of the ideas, even if they are not user voice, they are coming through our sales and business partner channel. A third feature that we added for back to work is to prevent multiple bookings per user. So this is also an idea that is coming from you, although not directly through user voice. It's coming from our sales channel, but it's still an idea that's coming from our customers. As a facility manager, I want to limit users from booking more than once for the same time, for the same time period, so that I can prevent employees from double booking the few seats that we have available. By default, this functionality is turned off, but you can enable it by setting the application parameter, allow multiple bookings to yes. Once you enable the functionality, if a user is going to try to book a space multiple times for the same date period and time period, they will get a warning, and they have to choose if they want to cancel the previous booking and continue with the current one or not. And I think this will help workplace managers use the workspaces, the limited workspaces that they have more efficiently too. On the next slide, we have a video demonstration. So in Workspace, I'm going to book a meeting for myself for today, for the entire day. So I can do that the first time. And I'm going to attempt again to book a space for today and for the entire day. And you'll notice that I will get, once I hit the book button, I get a message telling me that if I want to proceed, I will be canceling the previous meeting.
Thanks, Octavian. And just to clarify, if I'm booking for other people, like if I'm an admin booking for either other employees or visitors, it's preventing that visitor or that employee who's actually going to use the space from booking more than once.
Exactly. If you are booking for another person, you cannot book twice for the same person.
But that admin can book for multiple people.
Exactly. Another user voice idea for back to work is transforming up the email notifications that go out to employees to email templates. So a few releases back, we added a view called Mark Employees for Return to Work that enables department managers to plan how to group employees into cohorts and when those employees can go back to work. And we had an email message that could go out to employees telling them where they can where they will be sitting, in which phase they can come back. We had a lot of feedback from you telling us that this should be a template that can be customized, so that as a facility manager, I can configure and send professional-looking emails regarding return to work, so that the messages reflect our specific instruction and are easy to understand. I can configure these notifications from system administration. The view is called edges, and I can send the emails from the view called Mark Employees for Return to Work. And basically, you can set whatever message you want. You can also use virtual fields that tells the employee where they'll be sitting, what's the address of the building, and so on. We don't have a video demonstration for this, but as you can see in the screenshot, I included a screenshot of the email that you can customize.
Okay. Thanks, Octavian. I think that concludes the category of back to work feature sets, really focusing on those stories and on workplace. Octavian will continue and talk about user-defined fields for assets.
Yes, so another interesting, I think, set of features that you have proposed and you were looking for, and this was also recorded in user voice, is being able to define the user fields for assets, meaning equipment and equipment standard. As an asset manager, I need to track certain attributes of both equipment and equipment standards that are not in the standard tables. So I can inventory and report on things that the company cares about. For example, touchscreen monitors, insurance costs, and many other fields and information that I might be looking to report on, but doesn't currently exist in Archibus. I can configure and promote equipment and equipment standard fields, and this could be either existing fields that are not yet included in the view that you can see here or in the forms, or I can define and promote new user-defined fields. And if you remember from the previous release, you were able to add user-defined fields for spaces, and there were many type of fields that you can add, such as enumeration, text, number, date fields, time fields, and so on. And this is also available now for equipment and equipment standard. You can add or configure these fields from two places in Archibus. Either from the Manage Equipment and Standard view. This is a view that existed in Foundations, but we also added it to Asset Management, and we improved it. And the second place where you can configure these fields is in the Asset Lifecycle Console, but only in the Edit Equipment form. So while for Manage Equipment and Standards view, you can configure both equipment standards and equipment fields, in the Asset Lifecycle Console, you can only right now edit configure fields for equipment. Another information that you need to be aware is when to add a new field for a standard versus an equipment. Generally speaking, for standard, you want to add the new fields if this is a generic information for that category. For example, maybe all our HP laptops are Wi-Fi enabled, and we want to record that information. While for equipment, you generally record the information that's specific to that very piece of equipment. For example, while all our HP laptops are Wi-Fi enabled, they might vary in color. Some might be silver, other might be black, and so on. On the next slide, I have a video demonstration. We'll be focusing only on the equipment fields, but you can do the same for equipment standard. So as you can see from this view, you can filter on equipment standard, then you get all the equipment records for that equipment standard. Then you click on the Edit Equipment button. And in the Edit Equipment form, you click on Configure Fields. This is similar to the Configure Space fields, and you can add a new field, for example, paint color. There are many other field types that you can add, like enumeration list. Once you save it, the field is added to the database and to the Archibus data dictionary, so it will behave like any other Archibus field. But now also the field is going to be added to the Edit Equipment form and to the Manage Equipment and Standards view. And as an example, I also enabled an existing field. So next, I'll show you the new field that was added to the edit equipment form, you have to reload the form to see the new fields. And all the promoted fields will be available in the other fields tab. You can consider that tab like your custom equipment form. You can basically add to that tab whatever fields you want, either new fields or existing fields. And you can do the same for equipment standard. And then you can display the new fields in the grid. So using the select fields icon for each of the grids, you can display the new fields and you can arrange the order of the columns. So as you can see in the equipment inventory panel at the top, you can see the new field with a value, and then you can export the grid to Excel or to PDF. So again, thank you very much for this idea, and I'm hoping in the next releases to add more of your ideas.
Great, thank you, Octavian. It's really great. Okay, we are not done. I'm going to hand it off to Ing now, and she's going to take us through some of the other great enhancements we have for 25.4, starting with the maintenance checklists.
Great, thanks, Fred. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to see everybody here. Hope everybody is doing well. I want to share a little bit about maintenance checklists on maintenance console feature we have for 25.4. Just to give you some background information, in 25.3, the previous version, we roll out maintenance checklist feature, which include define maintenance checklist and link the checklist to SLAs, and for crop person to fill out the checklist from their mobile app, and a simple raw data reporting views. So those are the features we roll out in the last version. And we immediately get lots of questions and feedbacks and requesting and asking for just if this can be the maintenance checklist can be filled in maintenance console. So our research tells us that there is a need for maintenance manager to fill, review, and verify the checklist on the web. So based on that feedback from you and some business partners, we add this checklist management piece to maintenance console. The manager can or supervisor can call up the checklist on maintenance console to fill and review and modify answers. And the supervisor can also review the complete checklist and either verify them or return the work, send back the work as needed if the checklist need to be modified. So I'm going to run a quick demo for this feature. For demo purpose, I created several checklists related with the work request. There is a red star next to checklist indicating there are incompleted checklists. Checklists can be linked to both on-demand or preventive maintenance work. So I open the checklist for mechanical issue. You will see your first checklist shows up right away and preloaded for you, so you can answer your checklist. For the second question, for demo purpose, I'm going to report an issue when user answer no. So all the requester location equipment information will be automatically filled out for you. So you just need to enter your problem type. So in this case, services and description field. And then you can submit your follow-up actions and complete your checklist. The next checklist will load up automatically for you once you complete the first one. And you can save your checklist in the middle and then come back again and continue with the other answers. For demo purpose, I'm going to say no to this question. This is wrong. It's supposed to be yes. but then I completed. You see this green check to the checklist. That means I can complete the work. As a supervisor, I can go into the checklist to verify it. For the first checklist, I'm going to verify it. For the second one, there is a problem with my answer. So there's supposed to be yes. So I need that answer to be fixed. So I'm going to enter my comments and send this checklist back to the person who complete the checklist. The work request will be sent back. And once I receive this work request, I can check why it was returned. From the work request history, I notice there is a comment there. Please fix the compliant question. So I can open up my checklist and notice it's in progress now, the status. And then I can look through the answer and fix my my answer there and complete my checklist again. And the supervisor then can go back to that checklist and verify it. And the problem is fixed. So I'm going to verify it and mark it as yes, and then complete. As you see, the checklist will have this green text if the checklist is verified. So this is the whole the main features for maintenance checklist.
Hey, thank you, Ying.
Yeah, no problem.
So the next section, what we mentioned at the beginning was going over some other improvements, including the focus that we continue to have on UX. And for this release, we focused on making the experience better for the Move console. And I'll turn it back over to Ying to talk about that.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. So Moves console in 25.4, it's part of our continuous effort to enhance user experience across the SpaceIQ Archibus products. As you know, in 25.1, we did a big overhaul of the UX enhancement, and then we started to continue improve, enhance our major views. So Moves console is one of the frequently used view by our customers. So we like to give it a facelift. So we try to redesign the clustered layout and place a lot of the most relevant information up front. But as you know, Archibus has lots of functionalities, a very flexible platform, lots of fields that you can tackle into. For those secondary, less key information, we put them into a separate either sidecar. This is a new design. We put them to the sidecar that you can pull out as needed, and then you can see those applicable information from there. So for this release, the main enhancement focused on the features. So we pull out some key fields into the filters and put the other filters out to the more filters. And then we enhance the review details panel to leave more space for our move data. And then, put a lot of project details information to the sidecar and group them into different groups so you can access them as needed. So with that, I'd like to show you a quick demo. So when I open the Move console, I see all moves grouped by status and collapsed by default. This is changed. In the past versions, you have to click filters. And then we designed a filter to show 4 keys: the move type, building, date, employee moves, and then the date is the new filters that we introduced for this release. A user can click on more filters to see all other filters. And then for the move data, users can filter on today, 7 days, or this month. So that hopefully give you a quick ways to get to the moves based on the most used dates. And we move this configure option from filter panel down to the bottom because this is more relevant to the bottom data. I create this demo 1 group moves. So I open that up. So as you see on the top, there's some key project information, status, description, the manager. You can access the more detailed information from the right. And they're all grouped so you can quickly find the information as needed. On the bottom part, we used to show about 10 tabs there. Some of them don't have data. So the enhancement we did is only show the tabs has data on them. You can add additional move types from the top add move type buttons. In this case, I add employee leaving data. So I add a new employee leaving records to the move to the group move and save it. The data shows up in this tab. So the functionality wise, they're all the same. We didn't, we keep all the existing very comprehensive functionalities. But hopefully after redesign, as you can see, the space are more efficiently used and you're not flooded with a lot of information, but only the key information that you need. So that's so hopefully that will help our customers to perform your daily task easier. So that's all from me, Fred.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ying. I think you described it pretty well. It's looks. I hope those who use the Move console agree that it looks a lot different and just better organized than it has in the past. So with that, I'll just move on and talk about some other items that we've worked on, and then I'll talk a little bit about what's next. One thing we did was we added usage analytics. This allows us to better understand how our users are using the system so that we can actually make better data-driven decisions on what's working and what isn't and what needs to be improved and what maybe people are stumbling over. So it really would help us out. So with usage analytics, I'm sure that you come across many other software programs that you use that ask for you to opt in to track usage. It's all anonymized usage, so we don't obviously we never track any specific user back to a user ID or anything like that. So the anonymized usage data, we ask that you or someone in your organization who has the authority to opt in and allow us to get this data that really helps us make decisions in a much more organized and data-driven way. So and would love to be able to share this information with you as we collect it. I think it overall helps all of us understand the usage of the product better. So we're really excited to roll this out and to get you our users to opt in on your deployments so that we can track this usage. Other items, so wanted to just touch on a little bit of what's coming next, what we're thinking about doing next from big things to small. So the one big thing that we've heard from many of you, again from user voice, is that for managing maintenance work in the field, we need a more modern approach, and that's what we're going to focus on doing. So we have we're working on a new mobile app for maintenance work, for field work, and so that the people in the field that need to do what they need to do have access to the information they have in an easier to use form, and so they can access that information and maintain the assets and maintain the facilities in a more efficient way. So it does not mean that our current maintenance mobile app is going away. We will continue to support the mobile framework that we have now, including all of the apps that are on it and the maintenance app, but we just want to do better starting with maintenance. And so we're really excited about this project and to introduce something to you later this year. Another big area is Autodesk Forge integration. Forge is a series of Autodesk APIs that they've enabled in their cloud, in Autodesk Cloud, that allows us to bring the rich information of BIM right to the Archibus, right to the Archibus Web Central. And just right here, as a building manager responsible for asset reliability and maintenance, I'd like to have access to all asset details established in BIM during design construction, so I can pull up that information online and in one place. This area certainly, the area of handoff from design and construction to operations and maintenance has, for those who have been a part of it, has always been something that is challenging to get the data across, and we're really excited this could be a very, very fluid and easy way to get that data across, so that we can work on it in Archibus and do those things that I mentioned here, like visualizing system connection, plan maintenance better, and really get into digital twin integration, which is another exciting area of innovation. So that's another area that we're really excited about. Third is accessibility, especially for end users who are accessing our workplace employee experience app and may have visual impairments. We want to make this a great interface for all of those who are coming back to the office in order to meet their needs, to find their rooms and book their rooms and find their people and make requests. Even if they have those impairments. So we're working with an external company to do some accessibility testing. We'll make some changes to make this interface fully compliant. Some continuing themes that I just wanted to touch on. We continue to make it easier to use standard software. In addition to the module improvements and user experience, we want to make it easier to do to make the standard Archibus more configurable, as demonstrated by user-defined fields. We're going to extend that to reporting too. We're going to take a look at the report definition wizard, see if there's ways that we can improve that experience too, and make producing those type of lower-level reports just much easier to do for those who need it. We want to innovate on promising technologies. I mentioned digital twins and Forge integration. To that, I'll add IoT, hooks into IoT, especially for space utilization and predictive maintenance. And Archibus is part of the Space IQ family of products, and we're really excited to be able to look into ways that we can leverage those additional products for our Archibus users. So 3 key areas of that we'll continue to work on in the coming year. And with that, I'll just mention user voice again. We've been mentioning this throughout. It really does help us. I think I mentioned data-driven decisions with usage analytics. And this is another way that we can make data-driven decisions by getting our feedback and votes from you. So if you don't have access, please ask for access. Our users should have access to be able to suggest features. And what we really look for is those ideas and the votes. For those who don't know, if you log into user voice, you can log new ideas for Archibus, or you can vote on existing ideas. And simply, this is a really simple way to say that the ideas that gain a lot of votes from you, we know they matter. They come to they deserve consideration. They come to the top of the list. So log in, vote on ideas, see what some of your other users in this community are saying, and contribute. I think it's a really great way for us to get that kind of feedback, and again, that data. Another plug for our help. We are continuing to improve our end user help. It has a lot of information, including what we just went over in what's new for 25.4, and a little bit also about what's next. So if you don't consult the help, please do. It's a really great resource for you to really keep in tune with what's going on and what we're thinking. And I think that rounds it out. So thanks for your attention, and I'm happy we three are happy to take questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Freddie and Octavian. We appreciate it. We do have several questions that we need to go through. We'll try to get through all of these, but as usual, if we can't get through all of them, we will put together an FAQ and send it out with the recording. So the first question that came through was, will any task navigation framework, such as Process Navigator, Dashboard, home pages, etc., be phased out in the near future?
Good question. The answer is no plans to phase out what we have implemented this year. So that includes a new navigation on the sidebar navigation, and certainly homepage navigator. Being able to access links from a homepage are the two primary ways that that our users can access views, and they'll stay.
Great, thank you. The next question is occupancy and capacity taking into consideration those fully assigned plus hoteling spaces? For instance, if you have 20 people regularly assigned and your target is 30, does that allow only 10 hoteling spaces to be booked? And how is half-day bookings taken into consideration there?
Yeah, so we take into consideration.
Go ahead, Octavia.
Sorry, yeah.
Go ahead.
So we take in consideration all of that you mentioned. If you, for example, if you have, as you also saw in the video, if you have 30 spaces as a floor capacity target, and you already have 27 permanently assigned employees, we deduct those, so you are left with 3 seats. And then we factor in the day part. For example, if you, for a specific day, if you have left 3 seats, you have 3 seats in the morning and 3 seats in the afternoon, or 3 seats for the entire day. So we do take into consideration that.
Great, thank you, Octavian. The next question, will capacity targets work with team space on the same floor?
We didn't take into consideration team spaces. I'm trying to think through, because team spaces are those that are just not really assigned a space, but can hot desk onto a team space or neighborhood. So there's no way of actually counting who's actually there besides just booking those spaces or permanent occupants. So I'm happy to get some more feedback on how that might work, but right now, yeah, the team spaces are not accounted for in occupancy.
Okay, thank you. Next question, regarding work enhancements, when someone books it but does not show or check in, can you set a parameter to release that space as available?
So that's actually the check-in feature that we presented in the beginning. So you can set a time frame for that person to check in. If they haven't checked in that time frame, then the booking is canceled and the room is released. And also the employee is notified of the cancellation.
Right, and you can set that time to be either before or even after the booking. So you can say, depends on policy, but you can say everybody needs to check in perhaps before their booking start time. So if it's 9 a.m., they have to check in by 8:45, or afterwards, so 9:15, for example. So once you set that parameter, as Octavia mentioned, if the time passes, then the room is released.
Great, thank you. Next question is, can you compare and contrast workspace booking with the hoteling app so we are clear what the differences are?
workspace bookings is hoteling. It takes it's the name that we put on that icon for hoteling, but it leverages it leverages the hoteling application. And if you're used to working with their hoteling application in Web Central, it's the same workflow and the same logic, just different front end user interface than the Web Central create booking view. So it's the same thing.
Thank you. The next question, in hoteling, will you be adding a function to control who can book a space by a team they belong to or building they are a resident of, etc.?
We are looking at implementing new rules. Those have come in from user voice as well. So please take a look at what's there or vote on it. I believe that there's one in there about being able to limit people to book just within their neighborhood. So that would entail, defining the team spaces which we have and enforcing that in hoteling logic. But yeah, those are an example of good rules that we can take into consideration in continuing to enhance hoteling on the front end.
Thank you. The next question is, can a template be used for other email notifications, for example, SLAs?
I believe SLAs I'd have to check on the actual template, but the SLAs, in addition to the email configuration that Octavian just presented, they leverage the same infrastructure in our messages table. So the configuration of those emails come from the same source. I don't know if that helps, but that's how I'm interpreting the question.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is, can I add a user-defined field assigned to a room or polyline for equipment included and set to that room as a kit of parts remaining in that room?
I don't think I understand very well the question, but you can add a field for a room, user-defined field for a room, and also you can add a user-defined field for a piece of equipment. Well, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some further clarification on that one.
Yeah, maybe we'll take a read of it, but I also wasn't very clear on the polyline part.
Okay, yeah, we'll follow up with that one separately. Okay, next question. Can you add user-defined fields for hotelable workspaces? Example, room has projector.
You can define fields for rooms, of course. Yeah, you can. And then if you want to record for a room that the room has a projector, you can do that as a user-defined field from the define locations view. So in the define location view, we have the same functionality as for defining user-defined fields for equipment.
Great, thank you.
Related to that, I'll just mention that we are looking at bringing over amenities into the hoteling search. So just like reservations, you can search for amenities, and when you do, the rooms that have those amenities come up, and those that don't, are not part of the search. I think there is a user voice idea for allowing that behavior also for hoteling. Back to work, for example, great use cases with sit-stand desks or different types of docking stations, to name a few. Great use cases to enable amenities for hoteling that we're looking into. So if that's something that you're interested in, please vote for that.
Thank you, Fred. The next question is access to the user-defined fields controlled by some type of security?
Yes, so defining user-defined fields is controlled by two security groups. So just promoting, for example, the existing field is one level of security, and actually defining a new field is another level of security. And we've documented that in the help. I'll put a link in the file with the questions. I'll put a link to the help so we can review the user groups.
Great, thank you. The next question, is there a maximum number of user-defined fields?
No, there isn't a maximum number, but of course, if you, for reason of performance, you may want to not define so many fields. I mean, I think it would be feasible to have 20 new fields for equipment, but above that, you might run into some performance issues.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a three-part question. I feel like we answered the first part, but I'm just going to read the whole question so you have it. Is the add user-defined fields protected in any way, or can anyone who can edit equipment use this? How does this affect mobile, and are these fields available for mobile?
So the user-defined fields are not available in mobile, and defining and promoting fields is protected by security groups. I think one of them is sys alter view, and the other one is sys edit view. But I'll put a link in the file to the help topic.
Thank you. Next question, in the user-defined fields, can we add a URL link?
In the user-defined fields, you can define a new, for example, a new field, if I understand correctly, a text field, and then you can put a link into it.
Great, thank you.
But it won't display as a link, so.
Right, that's the issue.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, next question, will there be a similar mobile app for tracking space use?
Tracking space use. I imagine that gets into utilization or real-time occupancy. Those are things that I've mentioned that we're excited to look into in what's next. And once we enable that kind of real-time usage, then the use cases for grabbing, having that data available in mobile certainly exist. So I would say that if I'm interpreting the question right, that's certainly something that would be on our roadmap for the future.
Thank you. Next question, will the maintenance mobile app be a new product or part of the mobile framework? And do people that have the mobile framework get access to the new mobile app at no additional charge?
Good questions. It is a separate framework and a separate app. We will work on pricing and cross-grading opportunities, I think, as part of our rollout, but don't have a good answer yet for the pricing question, but it is a new framework.
Thank you. We have time for a few more questions here. What are the plans for the broader set of applications like capital and environmental?
We continue to get we continue to get user voice ideas on those, and we'll consider expansion or enhancements as we get them, and obviously also items that come in through our customer support. So no, we don't. I mean, we have plans to continue having those as applications in our suite for sure. I didn't focus on them in what's next so much, just because we have to prioritize what we feel are the biggest areas of opportunity in the coming months, and those are the ones I listed. But it's certainly the other applications are part of our suite and will continue to be supported.
Thank you. The next question, you mentioned Autodesk Cloud. We can only use cloud solutions that are FedRAMP certified, and to my knowledge, Autodesk is not. Is there a path forward to having a FedRAMP certified solution for the integrated BIM offering?
Good question. I don't have a great answer for that yet. I think that I'd have to consult with our business development colleagues who I know are looking into FedRAMP. I'm not aware off the top of my head how that extends to solutions that we're integrating with.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What's on the roadmap for space utilization and sensors? With back to work being the trend, seems that sensors would be extremely helpful in tracking what's been used.
Absolutely, and it is on, as I mentioned, it is on our what's next. It's on our roadmap, looking into integrating with IoT and also with badging data. So those are things that are top of mind for us coming up.
Great, thank you. We may have time here for maybe one more question. Okay, what enhancements have been made in the connector to better support BIM integration?
Well, we're looking at we're certainly looking at that Forge integration to better support BIM integration in the coming months. I'm off the top of my head, I'm not aware of how that affects or would be, or how connectors fit into that picture. Certainly, even now, we have the Smart Client extension for Revit, which is a direct connection, doesn't use connectors for that. So we're looking to really improve upon that direct connection with Forge. So again, yeah, that's our path, but not sure how connectors fit exactly into that picture.
Great, thank you. I think that's all the time we have today. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. As I mentioned, since we did not get to all of the questions here, we will put together an FAQ and send that out with the recording. So that'll probably be tomorrow. Thank you again, Fred, Octavian, Ying.
Thank you.
And everyone,
Thanks,
have a great day.